What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my NBA DFS contenders for FanDuel on Monday, April 12th. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman so you can get updates to the sim results as we get closer to lock. And finally, let me know in the comments section who is your favorite and least favorite of my contenders for today's slate. We round out the bottom of my top 10 with Bojan Bogdanovic, Bruce Brown, Luka Doncic, James Johnson, and NICOLAS CLAXTON. We're going to have a weird day today. Buckle up, everybody. Who will be my favorites, my top 5 plays for today? It is time to find out. First up at number 5, we are going to power forward Christian Wood. And boy, does that power forward designation help today. 7,400, projected for 39.5. The goal is 48. He is in the optimal lineup 26% of the time. Now, in this spot, I've got Christian Wood in for 34 minutes, basically 1.2 fantasy points per minute, 25% usage, 22.9, basically 2 stocks. Now, it's a tough spot against Phoenix. Houston is a massive underdog. Phoenix is just simply really good, and Houston just simply is very bad. It's a mild pace down spot, but all things in this matchup are difficult. However, the only people that can really create efficient offense here are John Wall, and efficient is a term I'll use loosely here, and Christian Wood. But Christian Wood being at the power forward spot is massive here. The price is down slightly, and at 7,400 at power forward, as one of the few guys that can do anything with the ball, I really like the upside of Christian Wood here, even in a difficult matchup. Next up at number 4, we're going to the small forward spot, $5,300 Joe Harris, projected for 30. The goal is just north of 40, and he is in the optimal lineup 27% of the time. Now, Harris is going to get the benefit of no James Harden, no Kyrie Irving, no LaMarcus Aldridge, no somebody else that I can't think of off the top of my head that really doesn't affect Joe Harris. Neither here nor there. But with those guys off, I do think we see a bit of a boost for Joe Harris. So instead of being like just under a 0.8 fantasy point per minute guy, I think he's just north of 0.9 now. That's a big time bump. 33 minutes, neutral usage, 20 points or thereabouts. We'll say 19.4. We'll be really accurate. 4.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, maybe you get a stock, but what you do get is a pace up spot. They gain 2.9 possessions over their average, taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team with a truly dreadful defense. I don't normally get to Joe Harris a lot because he's very scoring dependent and he's got a lot of studs around him. But now, with the studs out, at a small forward spot that's tough to fill, at a very reasonable price tag, he does see that usage bump. All of those things are fantastic, plus you get the benefit of basically a top 5 matchup in DFS. What's not to like? We're doubling up on Joes now. Shooting guard eligible Joe Ingles coming into the number 3 spot, 5,500, projected for 32. The goal is 41, and he is in the optimal lineup 27% of the time. Utah going to be without Mike Conley, resting on the back-to-back. No Jordan Clarkson, which means Ingles gets a little bit of increase across the board, including minutes. 34 minutes in this one, 0.94 fantasy points per minute. Slight usage bump, so we get him to 16%. That's 15 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, and a steal. And you guys know this one if you've been listening to these shows before. And if you haven't, where have you been? Anyway, Wizards. God, they stink. 4.5 possessions over the Jazz average. That's what we are seeing in this pace up spot. That is an additional basically 2 fantasy points for Joe Ingles. That is a massive swing. Plus, he's 5,500 with these guys out, so he is underpriced for his current role, and he gets the benefit of the fastest matchup in the league. This improves the Jazz better than anything else, and it's not like the Wizards' defense is all that great anyway. It's the perfect combination. I love this spot for Ingles. I love this spot for pretty much everyone on the Jazz. I bit my tongue there. I'm going to try to keep it going, but that really didn't feel all that great. Moral of the story, guys, Joe Ingles is the number 3 contender. Now at number 2, this one's a little tricky. We're going to the point guard spot. We're paying basically all the way down for Chris CHIOZZA. He's 3,700. I've got him projected for 25. The goal is 35. He's in the optimal lineup 30% of the time. This one's just kind of tricky. I have no idea how many minutes this guy's going to play. He could play 16. He could play 26. He could play 30, if I'm being perfectly honest, if this game turns into a blowout somehow. They don't have a natural point guard on the roster that will be playing today other than CHIOZZA. So I think that he could soak up some additional time, especially with Durant being, let's just say, limited in his way back. I gave Chris CHIOZZA 24 minutes. This is bound to change throughout the day. But at 24 minutes, $200 above the minimum, we're talking about a 1 fantasy point per minute guy. Neutral usage, 10 points, 6 assists, 3 boards, and this massive, massive pace up spot against Minnesota. They gain those 3 possessions. They gain a matchup against a bottom 5 defense. All of the signs point to a really nice spot for CHIOZZA, particularly in the price tag department. It's all about how you feel in terms of minutes. He will be a good value play, basically anywhere north of 20 minutes. His ownership will be really important. For cash games, if he's highly owned, don't even think twice. He's just going to be in your lineup, pay up elsewhere. In GPPs, if it gets ridiculously high, we're really going to want to know, is Chris CHIOZZA in the starting lineup? If he is, you don't really have much to worry about. If he's not, there's going to be a little bit more risk here. But for right now, Chris CHIOZZA at 24 minutes is the number 2 contender. Now, before we get to the number 1 contender, one last reminder, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, then head on over to Twitter, follow me at Josh Engleman so you can get the updates to my sim results. It's the only place you're going to find them. I'm on live before lock tonight, so you could expect those updates to hit somewhere in that 6:15 to 6:30 range. Again, lock is a half hour later than it normally is. Then, hop into this comment section, you head underneath the video. Let me know who your favorite contender is, your least favorite contender. And if you have a contender that isn't on my list, you got to let me know who it is so I can make some changes. And finally, the no-brainer number 1 contender today, shooting guard Donovan Mitchell. He is 9K, projected for 49. The goal is 53.5. Optimal lineup 35% of the time. Mitchell sees the biggest boost from anybody on the Jazz today with no Conley, no Clarkson. We're talking 35 minutes, 1.4 fantasy points per minute, 34% usage, north of 30 real points, 8 assists, 4.5 boards, and that same monster pace up spot that Joe Ingles had, 4.5 possessions. That's 2.5 points for Donovan Mitchell, maybe slightly more than that. I don't see how you get away from it. To me, he's the best play on the slate all day, barring any sort of crazy value that opens up that would be more frequent than him. But if you are paying any sort of salary, let's just say 9K and above, unquestionably, Donovan Mitchell will be that number 1 guy all day today. The best play, the number 1 contender. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my NBA DFS contenders on FanDuel for Monday, April 12th. Check out the I'm plugging the FanDuel version of this video on the FanDuel version of this video. Check out the DraftKings version of this video. God, it's Monday, guys. I still got to get a little bit more coffee in me. Still trying to rise and grind. Check out the DraftKings version of this video. It's also posted. Watch the process show. We recorded that at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. I broke down every single game and the rotations for this slate. I'll be on the strategy show with Laffy at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then finally, as I mentioned, live before lock, 6:30, myself and Eric Lindquist. Good luck tonight, everybody. I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow morning for another edition of the Contenders.